Jeopardy! Champion Ben Chan has scored interesting insight into Ken Jennings' own rules as host. The 9-day champ, who lost over a hotly contested ruling, revealed that Ken came to set in a hoodie he was told he definitely couldn't wear on stage. Ben's exchange with Ken, 49, took place when the impressive contestant first arrived on Jeopardy! Ben, whose streak ended late May, said that Ken walked in rocking casual wear, but that the host joked he'd unquestionably be changing. Ben tweeted, "On my first tape day, Ken Jennings quipped that they wouldn't let him do the show in the Uniqlo hoodie he was wearing." Ben added, "I wanted to scream, I am wearing a Uniqlo jacket right now. I did not scream that, but now consider it screamed at Ken Jennings." Ben then shared a photo of the Uniqlo blazer, below, he wore during his seemingly unstoppable $252,000 run. Ben did not get a snap of Ken in his Uniqlo hoodie, though that would have been a sight to see. Ken, of course, famously only wears suits to host. Strict rules. A contestant recently told Better.net about the rules for wardrobe in terms of competing. Included in our pre-show documents were clothing recommendations. Among them, no all-white tops, no olive-colored tops, and avoid clothing with busy patterns. Shocking way to go down. Meanwhile, Jeopardy! Viewers were shocked by how Ben's 9-day run ended on May 23's episode. Ben, who is from Green Bay, Wisconsin, is the first contestant ever to come out of the gates with 9 straight runaway victories. Having 9 ensured wins by Final Jeopardy is such a rare feat that fans were not expecting him to go anywhere anytime soon. Ben had also returned to the game show after bowing out of his streak due to contracting COVID-19 in episodes that aired in April, which is why some fans were also confused to see him back. Because his streak was split into 2 segments, his run started with 74-time champ Ken but ended with mayim Bialik as host. When going for win 10, Final Jeopardy under the category Shakespeare's characters read, both of the names of these 2 lovers in a Shakespeare play come from Latin words for blessed. Danny wrote down Romeo and Juliet, which was deemed incorrect, as did rival Lynn, not completing Juliet even though mayim pronounced it in full. She wagered $3,000, leaving her with $11,800. Mayim finally turned to Ben, who revealed he wrote Beatrice and Benedict, striking out the first Benedict but then writing it the second time. After a moment of pause, Mayim ruled it was incorrect. Unfortunately, that is not correct. The correct response is Beatrice and Benedict. For much ado about nothing, Mayim concluded, but she didn't go further in explaining the judgment call. Ben revealed he wagered $12,201 and slapped the podium in disappointment as he was left with $5,199 and in second place. Ben's streak-ending call sparks fury. According to Jeopardy!com, written responses to the Final Jeopardy! Clue do not have to be spelled correctly, but they must be phonetically correct and not add or subtract any extraneous sounds or syllables. Fans were less than pleased by how Ben was penalized for what he wrote and fanned out their fury on Twitter. Many debated if Ben's response did change the pronunciation enough to be wrong. Awful ruling against Ben Chan on tonight's #Jeopardy! One person wrote. Since when does being off by 1 letter count in Final Jep? There's no other character he could have meant, another person pointed out. Ben Chan loses over AT, wrote a third. I can't believe it, Jeopardy made a contestant lose for writing Beatrice and Benedict instead of Benedict. I'm not even that petty, and I'm a Shakespeare professor, wrote a fourth. Clearly they knew what he was going for and yet ended his run on a terrible technicality. #Jeopardy! A fifth wrote, that was weird. I replayed it and couldn't understand/hear the difference. A sixth person sided with the show, oof, a heartbreaking way for Ben to lose. I think that was the correct ruling, though. Ben will be back. Ben wrote on Reddit that he stood by Jeopardy's ruling as well. 1. Benedict is incorrect. The character's name is Benedict. As Ken, presciently, noted on my first episode, there is no partial credit on Jeopardy! Yes, I was so close. 2. I made some bad flashcards. The Benedict misspelling is common, and it worked its way onto a couple of my flashcards. Ben will be back for the 2023 Tournament of Champions facing the likes of Chris Panulo, 21 wins, and Hannah Wilson, 8 wins. It will be hosted by Ken, of course. The 10-week-long tournament will be 3-tiered with a new Champions wildcard portion will kick off the next season in September. Ben beat Hannah when he returned from his COVID-19 exit in a rare co-returning champions scenario, so that reunion could be an interesting matchup. Mayim is currently hosting the show and barring 1 week given the WGA strike, Ken will not be back until then. Ben Chan, the celebrated Jeopardy champion whose intelligence and wit had made him a fan favorite, was known for more than just his trivia prowess. While most of his post-game show interviews focused on his strategy, his love of knowledge, and the camaraderie he shared with fellow contestants, there was one story that stood out, an unexpected behind-the-scenes revelation about the host, Ken Jennings. Sitting down for an exclusive interview, Ben Chan chuckled as he prepared to share a little-known secret from his time on the iconic quiz show. It wasn't about a tricky final Jeopardy question, nor a strategy shift during Double Jeopardy, but instead, something that had surprised even him during the filming. It's not something you'd expect to hear when you're standing behind the contestant podium, waiting for the show to begin, Ben began, a playful grin on his face. But believe it or not, Ken Jennings wasn't allowed to wear a certain outfit while we were filming, and it's kind of hilarious why. Curiosity piqued, fans leaned in as Ben dove into the amusing tale that gave a glimpse into the lighter, more human side of the beloved game show. The unexpected fashion dilemma. Ben recalled the moment vividly. It was the morning of his third taping, and the atmosphere on set was relaxed. Contestants were being briefed on the rules, lights were being adjusted, and makeup artists were adding final touches. Ken Jennings, in his typical professional and approachable manner, was getting ready to step out on stage. However, as Ben was mentally preparing for the game, something unusual caught his attention. Ken Jennings was having what appeared to be a small debate with a member of the wardrobe department. At first, Ben thought nothing of it. Hosts and crew members often had last-minute adjustments before filming. But as the minutes passed, it became clear that this wasn't just a simple wardrobe tweak. "I noticed Ken looked a bit frustrated," Ben shared with a laugh. He was holding up this tie that had tiny little trivia questions printed on it. It was a gift from a fan, and Ken, being the trivia king that he is, thought it would be fun to wear it on the show. "I mean,